Hello readers!
Hi.
Kim here with Native Lady Book Warrior, and I'm going to be doing my book haul for July. So, yep, very excited to get into this video. What do you want to say?
I don't know.
Okay, let's get started. Hello again. Sorry, so that was actually Luke. So Luke is my youngest. He's funny. He's really awesome. Lots of energy. Lots and lots of energy. So first book I'm excited to tell you about that I have hauled in for the month of July and June. So is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I am so excited to read this book because Stephen Graham Jones is an Indigenous author. Yes, from the Blackfeet Nation. And huge thank you. So this is an advanced reader's copy, and I, with the help of really two awesome women, Erin from Erin's Library and also Michelle from Thor Wants Another Letter. Two really awesome, amazing Indigenous women and Indigenous reader. Thank you so much for getting me this copy. The Only Good Indians follows the journey of four Native men, also from the Blackfeet Nation. This event takes place when they were young, and then later on this supernatural, cultural, or spiritual entity, I'm not sure yet, comes back to haunt them and I guess seeks revenge on them for whatever mistake they made during their youth. And I'm actually nervous to get into this book because, okay, so every Native person, no matter who you are, you have all had that grandpa, that auntie, or meme and Ge'au or whoever, or your grandpa or your grandma tell that freaky scary story that they have experienced. And I mean, I actually share stories with my kids that I've experienced. So yay, I'm excited to read a novel by an Indigenous author. So yes, number one. Next book I'm excited to get into this for this month or possibly next is Marcie Rendon's Murder on the Red River. So this is actually her debut novel, and I have not read this yet. It's crazy. I don't know why I haven't read this yet. So it looks like I've heard great things about this book, and this is actually a crime fiction, and it follows two characters trying to solve a murder mystery of a Native person I think he's a Red Lake Native, but Marcie R. Rendon is also an Indigenous author, and she is from the White Earth Anishinaabe Nation. So excited to read another Indigenous author. Very excited to get into this book. So yeah. Number two. Next book I'm excited to get into is the fifth book, and this is The Maro Thieves by Cherie Dimaline. Not only is Cherie an Indigenous author from the Métis tribal community or tribe, look at the amount of awards that are on this book. Oh yeah, so this book is about Indigenous people of the Northern Americas, which is here, the United States, and also maybe Canada, and they are being hunted down for their bone marrow. So their bone marrow is being extracted from Native peoples because not only do Native people have the ability to still dream in this world. So in this world is I think global climate has already affected the world, and something has happened and people aren't able to dream. So it's also having psychological effects on the population, and so Native people are actually being hunted down in this book to extract bone marrow so they could find a cure for those who are suffering from their inability to dream. I've heard from many other booktubers and other book group companions that is a very emotional read. So me being an Indigenous person, I can't even I'm kind of excited but also nervous to get into this book, but I'm excited most of all. Next book I'm excited to introduce to you is Trail of Lightning, and this book is also by an Indigenous author, Rebecca Roanhorse. So this book is about a character, I believe she is Navajo, named Maggie, and it's an apocalyptic world, what was formerly known as the Navajo Reservation. So it takes place, I believe, in the future. So this is a fantasy novel, and I believe Maggie is a descendant of a monster slayer. So I am not going to get into this right away because my husband is actually reading this now, and I'm excited to know what he thinks of the book because he is born and raised on Navajo, and he is Navajo, and he also speaks a language, and I think he said like some there are Navajo, the Navajo language does show up in this book, so I'm excited to see what he has to say, and I'll probably read it after he is finished with that. So Rebecca Roanhorse is also an Indigenous author. I believe she is from the Tewa village of Ohkay, Owingeh, which is a pueblo, Tewa pueblo in New Mexico. So yep, another Indigenous author, so excited to get into this also. Book number, what is it, 5. So the 5th book I'm about to show you for my June-July book haul is Killers of the Flower Moon, The Osage Murders, and The Birth of the FBI. So this is written by David Grann. David Grann is actually not an Indigenous author. Everything that happens in this book is actually based on research, much research that David Grann has done, and it's written in a narrative format. So it's kind of teetering on nonfiction and a narrative book. This book, the timeline, takes place in the 1920s, where at that time the richest people in the world were members of the Osage Nation, and it was because of where they were living, there was like huge oil like underneath their feet, so they ended up becoming rich because of natural resources in their territories. And then it goes into how members of that indigenous nation were actually being killed and murdered. This actually happened in Oklahoma, and it follows the character of Molly Burkhart. Not only is all her relatives being killed off, and then her own family are being hunted during this time. Not only her family, but people of that nation are being killed off very mysteriously, and they employ J. Edgar Hoover and create the FBI in order to respond to this. So I believe this book is also being right now being transitioned into a movie. So and as far as what I've read, by I think Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be playing a role in this movie. So I'm excited to read this book, especially in the format that it's written. And everybody was saying it was crazy the amount of research that was put into this book, and it's not very long, but I heard it was pretty good. So next 4 books I'm excited to show you are actually all by the same author, and I'm basically starting one new journey and then continuing a journey from another series. So here's the first book, Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. So I read Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and I really enjoyed the book, so I'm reading the next 2 books, and I believe this completes the trilogy, Days of Blood and Starlight and Dreams of Gods and Monsters. So these are the next 2 books for Laini Taylor. So the next 3 and 4 are actually Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, and then also Muse of Nightmares. So as you can see, I've just heard so many things about these 2 books. I enjoyed Laini Taylor's writing from Daughter of Smoke and Bone, so I actually bought 4 new books to continue the journey of Akiva and Karoo, and getting into another new series. So yep. All right, next book. I am excited to continue the journey of Erin Gardner, and yes, I have the 3rd book of the Black Witch Chronicles series, The Shadow Wand by Laurie Forrest. I have not read any of the descriptions. I really don't want to spoil the book. Okay, now I'm going to be showing you the 11th book. Oh, crazy. Okay. I am also jumping on the Hunger Games bandwagon, and I'm going to be reading, yes, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. I was actually relieved that Suzanne decided not to continue the journey, whether if it's a prequel or a sequel to Katniss and Peeta. So this was, I think I'm gonna probably find this refreshing. I haven't seen any of the other book reviews on Book YouTube, and it's killing me every time I see this book on someone's YouTube or BookTube thumbnail. I'm like, want to click it, but I don't click it. Okay, so the 12th book I hauled in for June and July is A Torch Against the Night. So I really enjoyed the first book, which is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, and I want to continue the journey of Elias, Helene, and Laya. I feel like Elias is a really cool character that I really enjoyed reading about. So yes, excited to get into this book. Yay! The next 4 books that I'm about to introduce to you are also by the same author. They are also in the same series. I believe they are fantasy novels. I have not read them before, and they were recommended to me by a fellow co-reader. So this my fellow co-reader asked me not to share her name, but maybe I'll just say Indigenous Reader, co-reader of Kim. The first book is called Girl of Fire and Thorns, and I have 4 books by her. So the second book, I believe, is A Crown of the Embers, Bitter Kingdom, and Empire of Dreams. So yeah, I don't know exactly which order these go in, but my co-reader Indigenous buddy asked me not to read the back of these books, so I'm kind of trying not to read the back of these books, but we'll see how this goes. She said the character in this book is relatively young, but she knows that I like fantasy. I know most of the time she reads horror, contemporary, but she just now started getting into fantasy by books that I have loaned her. So I'm excited to get into these books. So yay! So that concludes my book haul for June and July. So you guys, I just wanted to say I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you guys are safe. I hope you guys are doing awesome and reading fiercely. So I just want to say have a very good day, morning, evening, good night. And yeah, wash your hands, put a mask on. And I hope you guys are all safe and doing well. And your families too. So, yep. So until next time, this is Kim with Native Lady Book Warrior. So I'll see you guys soon. Okay? Bye.